LoreWarrior Aerotech. CRX-0 Corax. Overview. The first Omni fighter ever produced by the Outworlds Alliance, the Corax is both a marvel and a mystery. It shows little of the Draconis Combine influence that's become common to other recent technological advances in the Periphery State, but there seems to be no other source for the Omni technology. Neither the Draconis Combine nor the Outworlds Alliance, however, are being very forthcoming. Capabilities. Wherever the technology came from, the Alliance pilots have put it to enthusiastic use. The most common configuration mounts a large pulse laser and two medium lasers. It provides quite a close-range punch for a light fighter, but lacks aft weaponry. It's generally used for strafing runs. Other popular configurations, however, mount paired SRM-6 racks and a bevy of medium lasers and medium pulse lasers, both featuring two small lasers facing aft, and are popular dogfight choices. The oddest configuration uses a medium-range missile system, purchased from the Draconis Combine. It's intended to provide ground suppression fire to allow its companion fighters to fly with less fear of anti-aircraft emplacements or vehicles. This seems to work well against ill-prepared bandits, who are the Corax pilots' standard targets, but AAA Chairman Paul Murphy has questioned its utility on a more advanced battlefield. The oddball configuration is unlikely to be used against any actual military targets. Deployment. The entire first production run of Coraxes went to the first Alliance Air Wing, replacing the aging Seydlitzes that were distributed to the other four air wings. This was due both to the first wing's skills and because there are yet not enough technicians trained to work on Omni fighters in the Alliance to spread the new fighter around. Well, we all know where the technology for this one came from. Clearly it's from the incoming clans, obviously. Is it the Snow Raven or Ice Hellions? One of those two. One of the bird ones, anyway. Turns up in the Outworlds Alliance. I'll double check it after the fact, or someone will post in the comments. But yeah, basically they've been approached by the clans and given this technology. It's a nice little way of hinting at that, actually. It would have also been, I suppose, just as plausible that they may have been approached by Diamond Shark merchants, for instance, who may have made some kind of deal to get maybe a large amount of rice or other foodstuffs, that kind of thing, since the Outworlds Alliance is seen as being quite a large breadbasket Periphery State. It's one of the reasons it ends up being predated so much by bandits. I mean, outside the fact that it is a Periphery State. The Outworlds Alliance is fairly large, and sadly there's not really enough ever written about the Outworlds. They just kind of get forgotten. They're just kind of over there, sort of between the Draconis Combine and the Federated Suns, and other than that, it's just like, yeah, they've got really good aerospace pilots, but that's it. That's all you ever really hear about. But, yeah, the Corax is a 30-ton light fighter. Its frame is the UOC Light Spec 3. Power plant is the 210 GM-XL. Its armor is the Outworld Weave Standard 2, and its armament is 9 tons of pod space. Its manufacturer is the United Outworlders Corporation. Primary factory is on Remora, and its communication system is the Outworld's Advanced 6 AI, and its targeting and tracking system is the multi-platform T12D. Stat-wise, obviously it's a little bit different with Omni fighters, or Aerotech in general, but it has 10 double heatsinks for 20 dissipation, with 44 armor on the nose, 33 on the wings, and 26 on the aft. Primary configuration is a large pulse laser in the nose, with one medium laser in each wing. Alternate configuration alpha is a SRM-6 in the right wing, SRM-6 in the left wing, with 30 rounds of ammunition stored somewhere, doesn't say, probably in the weapon system themselves or the wings, and then two small lasers aft. Other configurations include the B, which has two medium pulse lasers in the nose, two medium lasers in the right wing, two medium lasers in the left wing, and two small lasers aft. And finally, the C configuration, the oddball, as it says, is an MRM-20 located in the nose with 24 rounds of fire. It's pretty good. I don't mind the fighter. It looks pretty nice, actually. It's not too difficult. Compared to Battlemechs, it's easier to make cool-looking space fighters, basically, isn't it? That's a bit of an advantage in that regard. Obviously, there's not as much to really talk about with Aerotech, because they're a little more difficult to use on tabletop, because obviously the speeds they move, it means a lot of the time that they are literally just, oh yeah, they strafe across, and you you roll, and they either hit or they miss the target and they move off. So a lot of the time, aerospace fighters are used for the separate game, obviously, Aerospace, which is a game I've never really had a chance to play. I've sort of skimmed through the books over the years every now and then, but it's never been as compelling as mech combat. Over the years, I think they've tried to make sort of dogfighting and stuff more interesting, and certainly it's a really important element of any of the military campaigns that you ever read about. Every book mentions some kind of important factor that aerospace plays in the battle. Like Luthien, for instance, had a huge part of its combat was reliant on air domination, which obviously the Draconis Combine managed to beat the Novacat air forces, and thus they had control of the skies. But things like the Force Succession War, where aerospace have to dominate the sector, because if they don't, the dropships will get shot down for the Federated Suns. It was important on Galtor, where there were both sides dueling for weeks or months on end, slowly like grinding each other's aerospace forces down till there was just very, very few, like handful of fighters across the planet, sort of every now and then dogfighting each other or just doing ground runs and sort of fucking off back to hidden air bases. It's important. There's some nice narrative stuff that comes out from aerospace units in general, but they're just not as easy to use, unfortunately, on tabletop, which is a shame, because you can get some really good creations out of this. Obviously, you get the stats like safe thrust 9, max thrust 14. So, I mean, I suppose you could say it can, glide at 9 hexes and then boost across 14 hexes, which means it can be on the field for a turn and then it's off the field next turn that comes back. So you could use them like that. And it also means, I guess, you can have fighters dogfighting above the mechs and the tanks and the infantry on the ground. But it's very different, obviously, and it depends on the size of the board you're using, of course. You're using like a regular board, those fighters are just going to go clean across that very easily. But this fight is pretty good. I like the background. The write-up is nice. The hint of the incoming clan and the agreement between the Outworlds Alliance and them, and the technology that they will be obviously sharing, which will massively boost their military output. The shared respect, obviously, of a periphery state of all things that have a focus, a specialization in air combat, rather than battle mechs and tanks, which obviously caught the eye. I think it's Snow Ravens. I think it is. I think it's the Snow Ravens. I know one of those two, they end up moving almost wholesale over to the periphery state, rather than staying in clan space. And I can't remember, obviously the map thing has updated since. I'm just it's early, and I'm too lazy to go look while I'm recording this. So someone else will explain it to me, and thank you ahead of time to all of the people who will be typing this up, because there'll probably be more than one comment. But yeah, the Corax, it's cool. I like it. It's a nice little fighter. It's got pretty decent weapons loadout. I do like the MRM build. That would be a nice one to use for even a scenario where you are playing as the Outworlds Alliance in this kind of time period, and you would be fighting against a bandit force, and having the C configuration, doing strafing runs with MRM is pretty cool. But even the standard one, a large pulse for a pair of mediums is pretty deadly, especially for a 30-tonner. That's the other thing. Aerospace can carry so many weapon systems that they can shred light mechs and stuff like that very quickly and do a lot of damage to mediums. They're nothing to sniff at, that's for sure. But I have rambled on enough. That was the Corax. As always, thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.